Thank you, dear listeners. We've now reached the last segment of our special broadcast today on the situation in Iran and with wider implications it could have for the region after it was struck by Israel this morning. Remember, of course, you can join us live here on Salam Media. The studio line is 011-6800-355. WhatsApp 061-766-0355. You can reach us on X at Salam Media. And of course, we are live on Facebook, facebook.com/Salam Media. And on the Salam Media website, salammedia.com/listen-live. We're privileged to be joined live by Carl Niehaus, a member of parliament for the Economic Freedom Fighters. Good evening, Carl. How are you?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. You asked me how I am. I'm not very well because the tragedy that plays itself out in Iran because of this unprovoked aggression by the United States of America and by apartheid Israel is an international illegality. It is a moral outrage, and it must be condemned in the strongest possible terms.
Yes, and on that note, of course, your party, the EFF, released a statement earlier today, this morning, condemning the illegal and unjustified Israeli-US attacks on Iran. And so I should probably ask, that you kind of tell us a little bit more about the content of the statement and elaborate even further on the position of your party regarding what has happened.
Well, I think it's important to emphasize that the EFF's media statement makes it unequivocally clear that Iran is not the aggressor. In fact, Iran has been bending over backwards to engage in negotiations with the United States of America. And in fact, Iran has complied with all the provisions of the international nuclear proliferation provisions and acts that there are. So Iran has tried to avoid this international tragedy because it is international. It plays out especially in the region of the Middle East, but it has an impact for the whole of the world, almost at all and every cost. But our statement states that you cannot expect from Iran to allow its own sovereignty and its own international standing to be undermined by this illegal action of the United States of America and, of course, by apartheid Israel. We also point out that this action has been undertaken by President Trump and by the butcher of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, with a clear intention not simply to deal with what they describe as an issue around nuclear proliferation, which it isn't, but with the intention to bring about a change of government against the people of Iran and against the revolutionary Islamic government of Iran. Now, all of this, of course, in terms of the United Nations, various provisions, and also in terms of the law that exists internationally, is illegal. It is not acceptable. And we call on our South African government to take an unequivocal stand against this aggression by apartheid Israel and by the United States of America. But in addition to that, we make a very urgent call on the United Nations to convene both the United Nations Security Council and also the General Assembly of the United Nations, and to take the strongest possible action against the United States of America and apartheid Israel. We cannot allow this kind of international thuggery, this kind of bullying, this kind of imperialist imposition to continue any longer. And the Economic Freedom Fighters states very clearly that the people of Israel must also appreciate the consequences that this action by their own government, their own genocidal government, and by the government of the United States of America will have for them. and they are already experiencing that action because Iran, in carrying out its sacred duty to defend its own territory and its own international position, and also its own environment in which they have been attacked, is launching counterattacks, and those counterattacks are in fact hitting also the area of Israel and other neighboring states. Now, this problem and these attacks must not be placed at the door of Iran, must be placed squarely and also legally in terms of international law at the door of apartheid Israel and of the United States of America. The statement that President Donald Trump issued this morning is a declaration of war. If you listen to it, it cannot be understood as anything else. And it is clear that right from the beginning, this kind of action by the United States of America and by apartheid Israel has never been meant to deal with their red herring, which was the issue around nuclear weapons, which Iran stated very clearly that it had absolutely no intention to manufacture nuclear weapons. Trump's statement makes it very clear that he is dealing here with the intention of the United States of America to bring the government, the revolutionary Islamic government of Iran, to a fall. That is why this is happening. That is why it's also made that very unpleasant call to the people of Iran to betray their own nation and their own government. And we are happy to see that until now, none of that has happened. The people of Iran are standing clear and strong with their government. And despite the efforts by the United States of America and apartheid Israel, none of the Iranian leadership that had been targeted had in fact been hit. But of course, this is another outrageous war crime that the United States of America declares openly that it wants to kill the supreme leader and the president of Iran. What we see here is total international illegality. This is the politics of the jungle, and it is the politics of international thuggery. And if any of us, including South Africa, do not stand up strongly and unequivocally condemn what has been doing, what the United States of America and apartheid Israel has been doing and now continues to do, all of us will rue this very fateful day on this end of February 2026. This is indeed a tipping point, and it is a watershed moment in our modern history.
Thank you so much for those valuable insights. Just a last sort of question, and I have to stress that I can only give you a very short time to respond to it. Unfortunately, is within the statement you also mentioned that the EFF calls upon DIRCO to evacuate all South African citizens currently in Israel and Iran, and that it's irresponsible for there to not at this stage be any coordinated effort to ensure that. Do you want to just tell us really quickly what has the South African government done so far in order to support its citizens out there in the region, and what does a substantive response look like from your perspective?
Well, our statement is clear that we believe that DIRCO has the responsibility to act to protect South African citizens in this very dangerous situation that had been created by these criminal activities of the United States and Israel. Our statement is raising this issue because we are concerned that we do not see the required action by DIRCO, and we again urge DIRCO to take action to immediately evacuate South African citizens, especially from the apartheid state of Israel, but the entire region, where it has become extremely dangerous, obviously. But at the same time, I repeat again, We expect from Durko and from our president to come out in an unequivocal condemnation of this wanton aggression by the United States of America and apartheid Israel, and also to make sure that we register our absolute outrage in the United Nations and also in every other international forum, including the AU, and also within the Global South, where we have the opportunity to raise our concern. Because this is a war that can totally spin out of control. It can go outside the region, even terrible as it is, and it can indeed endanger the safety of the whole of our world.
Thank you so much, Carl Niehaus, Member of Parliament for the Economic Freedom Fighters. It was great to have you on and to hear these insights from you. Wishing you, I mean, as much as we can within the current circumstances, of course, because we echo what you said earlier, that I think nobody is really doing very well today, unfortunately, due to this developing situation out there in the Middle East region. But wishing you as
it's a very tragic day, but let me say, we also salute the courageous people, the courageous leaders and people of Iran who stand up so resolutely against this wanton, illegal international aggression by the USA and by apartheid Israel.
Thank you so much, Carl Niehaus, Member of Parliament for the Economic Freedom Fighters.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that, of course, is a wrap from me as well, your guest presenter for this special broadcast on the developing situation that remains developing, actually, and will continue likely to develop over the next several hours, probably into the coming days, and hopefully not for very long after. Wishing everyone a blessed rest of the day, inshallah, blessed iftar. May Allah accept your fasts and your efforts. Please remain engaged on the situation beyond just this broadcast. I am Abdullah Moswis, a researcher affiliated with the Afro-Middle East Center and the Qatar South Africa Center for Peace and Intercultural Understanding. And let's pray, inshallah, for peace and justice in this dunya, in this last couple of hours before we break our fasts here in Johannesburg. That's all from me today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.